Sarah's life was a circle of coffee and steam. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., her alarm clock made a loud noise. She lived in a very small apartment. The walls were thin, and the floor made a creak sound when she walked. But Sarah didn't mind. She had a window, and through that window, she could see the tall buildings of the city center. She worked at the Daily Bean, a small coffee shop on a busy corner. She was a waitress. Her job was simple: take orders, smile, and clean tables. She was good at it, but her heart was not in the coffee. Under the counter, Sarah kept a secret. It was a black sketchbook. When the shop was quiet, she drew. She drew logos for imaginary companies. She drew posters for movies that didn't exist. She played with colors and shapes. Her boss, Mr. Miller, was a kind man, but he didn't understand art. "Sarah, stop dreaming and start cleaning," he often said with a smile. Sarah knew she wanted more. She had a degree in graphic design, but finding a job was hard. She spent her evenings looking at websites. She looked for Creative World. It was the most famous design agency in the city. Their office was in a beautiful glass building. To Sarah, that building looked like a palace. One night, she sat at her small kitchen table. She opened her laptop. She looked at her resume. It looked okay, but she wanted it to be perfect. She updated her skills. She added her latest projects. She clicked send. "Maybe this time," she whispered to her cat Luna. 3 days later, Sarah was at the coffee shop. She was cleaning a table when her phone vibrated in her pocket. She looked at the screen. It was an email from Creative World. Her hand started to shake. She ran to the back room. "Dear Sarah Miller," the email began. "We looked at your portfolio and your resume. Your style is very interesting. We would like to invite you for an interview. Can you come this Friday at 10 a.m.? You will meet our director of design, Mr. Thompson." Sarah wanted to scream, but she was at work. She jumped up and down silently. She felt a mix of pure happiness and deep terror. She was so nervous. This was the moment she had waited for 3 years. "Mr. Thompson is a legend," she thought. "What if I'm not good enough?" She spent the rest of the day in a dream. She accidentally gave a customer a latte instead of an espresso. She didn't care. On Friday, her life could change forever. From Tuesday to Thursday, Sarah lived in a state of intense preparation. She stopped watching TV. She stopped drawing for fun. Instead, she studied Creative World. She learned about their history. She looked at every project they had finished in the last 5 years. She learned the names of their biggest clients. "I need to be confident," she told Luna. "If I know everything about them, I won't be scared." She also worked on her own story. She knew the interviewers always ask the same questions. She sat on her floor with her resume and a notebook. Question 1. What are your skills? She wrote, "I am an expert in digital illustration. I understand brand identity. I work fast, and I love solving problems through design." Question 2. What is your greatest weakness? This was the hardest part. She didn't want to lie. She thought about it for hours. "My weakness is that I get very quiet when I am stressed. I focus so much on the work that I forget to talk to my team. But I am working on this. I am trying to communicate more." On Wednesday evening, she went to a shop and bought a new suit. It was dark blue. When she put it on, she felt like a different person. She didn't look like a waitress anymore. She looked like a professional. Thursday was the most difficult day. Sarah could not stay still. She decided to practice in front of the full-length mirror in her bedroom. She stood up straight. She looked at her reflection. "Hello, Mr. Thompson. It is a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for this opportunity." She practiced her smile. If she smiled too much, she looked crazy. If she didn't smile, she looked angry. She found a middle ground, a professional, friendly look. She practiced her handshake. She grabbed the air and squeezed. Firm but not too strong, she reminded herself. She went through her portfolio. She had 20 designs. She chose the best 5. Quality is better than quantity, she thought. She explained each design out loud to the mirror. In this project, I used blue to create a feeling of trust. For this logo, I wanted something modern but also classic. By 9 p.m., her voice was tired. She felt more confident, but the small voice in her head was still whispering, "You are just a girl from a coffee shop. Why would they want you?" Sarah went to bed early, at 10 p.m. She needed to be fresh. She drank some chamomile tea. She put her phone away. But sleep did not come. At 11:30 p.m., she was thinking about her resume. Did she make a typo? No, she checked it 10 times. At 12:45 a.m., she was thinking about the salary. How much should she ask for? She didn't want to sound greedy, but she needed to pay her rent. At 2:15 a.m., she was thinking about her weakness. What if Mr. Thompson didn't like her answer? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Mr. Thompson's face. In her mind, he was a giant man with a very angry expression. "Please, Sarah, sleep," she whispered to herself. She finally fell into a light, restless sleep around 4 a.m. She dreamed that she arrived at the interview wearing her pajamas. When the alarm clock rang at 7 a.m., she felt like she had been hit by a truck. Sarah jumped out of bed. She had a plan. 7 to 7:30, coffee and a light breakfast. 7:30 to 8:15, shower and hair. 8:15 to 8:30, dress and final check. 8:30, leave the apartment. The office was only 30 minutes away by bus. If she left at 8:30, she would arrive at 9. That gave her 1 hour of buffer time. Nothing can go wrong, she said. She ate her toast. She fixed her hair into a neat bun. She put on her dark blue suit. She looked great. She felt confident. At 8:30 a.m., she walked to the bus stop. It was a beautiful morning. The sun was shining. She felt like the world was on her side. She waited. 8:35 a.m. No bus. 8:45 a.m. The bus stop was now crowded. People were looking at their watches. 8:55 a.m. An announcement came over the speaker at the station. "Attention passengers, there is a major mechanical problem at the central depot. All buses on the Blue Line are delayed by at least 45 minutes. Sarah felt the blood leave her face. Her stomach turned into a knot of ice. "No," she whispered, "not today." She looked for a taxi. She saw a yellow car and waved her hand, but it was full. Every taxi that passed was full. Everyone was trying to find a way to work because of the bus problem. She opened her phone and looked at a map. To walk would take 50 minutes. If she ran, maybe 35. But she was wearing a suit and high heels. She couldn't run. Finally, at 9:25 a.m., a bus appeared. It was packed with people. Sarah pushed her way inside. The bus moved slowly. It stopped at every red light. The traffic was terrible. 9:40 a.m. The bus was still 10 blocks away. 9:55 a.m. Sarah was shaking. She was sweating. 10 a.m. The bus stopped. Sarah jumped out and started to run. Sarah ran through the glass doors of Creative World at 10:12 a.m. She was breathing hard. Her hair was starting to fall out of the bun. There was a small coffee stain on her sleeve from a person on the bus. She reached the reception desk. I am Sarah Miller, she panted. "I have an interview with Mr. Thompson at 10. The receptionist was a woman with very perfect hair and a very cold expression. She looked at the clock on the wall. "You are 12 minutes late, Miss Miller. Mr. Thompson is a very busy man. He does not like to wait." "I know. I am so sorry. The buses." "Everyone has a story about the bus," the receptionist interrupted. "Please sit down. I will see if he is still willing to meet you." Sarah sat on a leather sofa. The office was silent and beautiful. It smelled like expensive perfume and fresh paper. She felt small. She felt like a failure. "I lost the job before I even started," she thought. She wanted to leave. She wanted to go back to the coffee shop and hide. 10 minutes later, the receptionist spoke. "Mr. Thompson will see you now. Room 402. Sarah walked into room 402. It was a large office with a window that looked over the whole city. Mr. Thompson was sitting behind a glass desk. He was exactly like his photos: tall, gray hair, and very sharp eyes. He didn't look up from his computer for 30 seconds. The silence was heavy. "Sit down, Miss Miller," he said. His voice was like deep gravel. Sarah sat. She tried to stop her hands from shaking. "Do you know what time it is?" he asked, looking at his watch. "It is 10:25, sir. And your interview was at 10. In this industry, we have deadlines. If we are late, we lose clients. If we lose clients, we lose money. Why should I hire someone who cannot arrive on time for the most important meeting of their career?" Sarah felt a tear in her eye. She could make an excuse. She could say she was sick. She could blame the bus company for an hour. But then she remembered her father's voice. "When you make a mistake, own it." She looked Mr. Thompson directly in the eyes. Her voice was quiet but steady. "Mr. Thompson, you are absolutely right. There is no excuse for being late. I left my house at 8:30 for a 30-minute journey. I thought I was being safe. When the buses broke down, I didn't have a plan B. I didn't think about taking a taxi earlier or checking the news. That was my mistake. I was so nervous and focused on my skills that I forgot to be prepared for the unexpected. I am deeply sorry for wasting your time." Mr. Thompson stared at her. He didn't speak. He just watched her. Sarah waited for him to tell her to leave. Instead, he leaned back in his chair. "At least you didn't tell me your grandmother died. I've heard that one 3 times this week. Open your portfolio, Sarah. Let's see if your work is better than your timing." Sarah opened her laptop. Her heart was still fast, but she felt a small spark of hope. "This is my first project," she said. She showed a branding project for a local bakery. "I wanted to create something that felt warm and traditional, like bread, but also modern." Mr. Thompson looked at the screen. "The typography is interesting. Why did you choose this font?" Sarah explained her choice. She talked about the history of the font. She talked about how it looked on different screen sizes. As she talked, she began to feel confident. This was her world. This was what she loved. She forgot about the bus. She forgot about the sweat on her forehead. They talked about her skills in detail. "I see you use a lot of 3D modeling," Mr. Thompson noted. "Most people your age only do 2D. "I taught myself 3D at night," Sarah said. "I think it's the future of design. I want to be ahead of the curve." Mr. Thompson nodded. "Good. We don't like average here." After 40 minutes of looking at her work, Mr. Thompson closed her laptop. He looked at her resume one more time. "Your work is strong, Sarah, but design is a team sport. Tell me about your greatest weakness." Sarah didn't hesitate. "I am a very focused worker. Sometimes I focus so much that I isolate myself. I become a perfectionist in my own bubble. In the past, this meant I didn't ask for help when I needed it. I thought I had to do everything alone to prove I was good. And now? Now I understand that a project is better when different minds work together. I am learning to share my ideas early, even if they aren't perfect. I am learning to trust my colleagues." Mr. Thompson tapped his pen on the desk. Honesty again. Most people say their weakness is working too hard. It's a boring answer. "I like your answer better." "Let's talk about the position," Mr. Thompson said. "The salary for this role starts at $55,000 per year. We have a lot of benefits, but we also have a lot of late nights. You will be working on big campaigns. You will have a lot of pressure." Sarah did the math in her head. That was more than double what she made at the coffee shop. But it wasn't just about the money. "I am ready for the pressure," she said. "I want to be in a place where I can grow. I don't want a job that is easy. I want a job that makes me better." Mr. Thompson stood up. Sarah stood up too. "Thank you for coming in, Sarah, and thank you for the truth. We will make a decision by the end of the day. You will hear from us." Sarah shook his hand. It was firm. She walked out of the office. She walked past the cold receptionist. She walked out of the glass building and into the street. The walk home felt like it took 1,000 years. Sarah didn't take the bus. She needed the fresh air. She arrived at her apartment and sat on her sofa. Luna jumped onto her lap. "I did my best," she told the cat. "If they don't hire me, at least I was myself." Every time her phone made a sound, she jumped. 2 p.m., a message from her mother. How did it go? 3:30 p.m., an advertisement for pizza. 4:45 p.m., a notification that her phone battery was low. By 6 p.m., the sun was going down. She felt a bit sad. They probably found someone who was on time, she thought. She went to the kitchen to make some pasta. At 6:15 p.m., her phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello?" "Sarah, this is James Thompson." Sarah's heart stopped. "I spoke with the other directors. We had 3 other candidates. They were all on time. They were all very good." Sarah closed her eyes. "I understand," she said quietly. "But," Mr. Thompson continued, "none of them had your courage. Anyone can have skills, Sarah, but not everyone has the courage to be honest when they fail."
We can teach you more design, but we can't teach someone how to be a person of integrity. We want you on our team. You are hired. Sarah felt a wave of heat and light hit her body. "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thompson." "You're welcome. Your salary and contract will be in your inbox tonight. We start Monday at 9 a.m. And Sarah?" "Yes?" "Buy a bicycle, or leave your house at 7 a.m. Don't let me down." "I won't, sir. I promise." On Monday morning, Sarah did not wait for the alarm. She was awake at 6 a.m. She wore her dark blue suit again. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. She didn't see a nervous girl. She saw a graphic designer. She left her apartment at 7:15 a.m. She arrived at the glass building at 8 a.m. She sat in a small cafe across the street and watched the building. She felt a deep sense of peace. She walked through the glass doors at 8:45 a.m. The receptionist looked at her. "Good morning, Miss Miller," the woman said. This time she almost smiled. "Welcome to the team." Sarah went to her new desk. There was a new computer, a large screen, and a box of professional pencils. She sat down and opened her first project. She was no longer serving coffee. She was creating the world. She learned that being confident doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means you are brave enough to fix them and keep going. She was finally home. Sarah's journey from the coffee shop to creative world was not easy. It was full of stress and bad luck, but she succeeded because of 3 simple rules. Prepare like a pro, know your skills and your resume perfectly. Be brave, admit your weakness and your mistakes. Stay confident. Believe that you belong in the room, even if you arrive late and sweaty. The dream job was hers, not because she was perfect, but because she was real. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. It really helps the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.